My dreams come true.
It is Thursday, May 9th, 2024, and good morning. Welcome to BS3 Presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am your host, Cole Johnson, obviously. And for the next 1 hour, you'll get a chance to sit back and relax as we get you and keep you informed, enlightened, enthused, entertained, and spiritually fed. On today's program, we will talk about a champion, a former world heavyweight champion in wrestling who now is in his, I guess you could say, golden years, and how that mindset probably is not so foreign to any of us. We'll also talk about how should you properly give and receive recognition. And also we will touch on healthy benefits to a relationship of all kinds. That's for later. For now, let me start you up. And here's what's taking place in the world today. Police cleared a pro-Palestinian protest encampment at George Washington University early yesterday morning. Officers with the Metropolitan Police Department descended upon the campus at around 3 a.m. The department said in an email to USA Today that in a news conference yesterday morning, 33 people were arrested. One person inside the university quad was charged with assault on a police officer, while 29 others were arrested and charged with unlawful entry a block away. More unrest on college campuses. The House soundly killed an effort to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson from his leadership post in another defeat to the lower chamber's most conservative lawmakers. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia forced the House to vote on a quote motion to vacate, close quote, a procedural tool that, if passed, would have forcibly removed Johnson from speakership, the tool they used to remove Kevin McCarthy only 8 months before. However, the vast majority of House Republicans and Democrats joined together yesterday to dismiss Greene's motion through a vote of 359 to 43. South Dakota Republican Governor Kristi Noem, and no wise, this is not the North Dakota governor, 0.8%. That felt good to say. Not Fox Business host Stuart Varney in an interview after he pressed her on her decision to kill her 14-month-old dog Cricket over 20 years ago. The heated exchange began during an interview Tuesday when Varney asked Noem, who has been floated about as a potential vice presidential nominee for Trump, what the former president said in conversations to her about the number 2 spot. Then the question was asked from Varney, quote, did the dog story come up in your conversation with Trump? Close quote. Noem appeared to dodge the question, reiterating that she talks to Trump all the time, while Varney continued to press her on his inquiry. Adult film actress Stormy Daniels took the stand Tuesday in the Donald Trump hush money trial. The former president faces 34 counts, felony counts I may add, of falsifying business records to cover up a deal to buy Daniels' silence during his presidential campaign. Daniels recounted her alleged sexual encounter with Trump, Daniels is also testifying about the heart of the case against Trump, which is a $130,000 payment to her to remain silent before the 2016 election. Just before Trump's team began cross-examining Daniels, the judge denied their motion to dismiss the case. President Joe Biden touted Microsoft's planned $3.3 billion, not million, billion, investment in its Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin data center yesterday as a product of his administration's economic growth agenda. Its contrast with the unfulfilled promise of the neighboring Foxconn and International Holdings development deal that was negotiated during Donald Trump's presidency. Biden joined Microsoft President Brad Smith and Governor Tony Evers Wednesday at Gateways College's Integrated Manufacturing and Engineering Technology Center to announce the expansion of Microsoft's data service complex and the tech giant's plans to add about 2,000 permanent jobs over there over time. The new value of the development is more than 3 times what was announced a little more than a year ago when Microsoft signed its first deal to buy land in the Villages, Wisconsin's Innovation Park. Lady Gaga dropped the trailer for Gaga Chromatica Ball, a concert film that pays tribute to the pop star's 2022 Chromatica Ball tour. The nearly minute-long teaser shows an eye-popping sequence of Gaga performing on stage, taking on high-energy choreography in various striking outfits. The HBO film, directed and produced by Mother Monster herself, chronicles Gaga's Chromatica Ball performance at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, according to a press release. Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines received top marks in J.D. Power's North American Airlines Customer Satisfaction Survey for 2024. The firm's results, announced yesterday, noted that the airlines investing in their staff and are seeing more satisfied customers despite higher airfares compared to last year. According to the survey's passengers, main priorities are getting to their destinations easily and safely. That outweighs even ticket prices in determining a traveler's satisfaction with their chosen carrier. Cocoa powder popularity is on the rise as some health experts and wellness influencers laud it for certain health benefits. Cocoa sales are also on the rise and expected to keep growing, at least in part due to demand for cocoa powder, according to a market research report recently published by Fairfield. Is it healthier than coffee, though? Most dietitians will tell you that the word healthiest is subjective. Those with different health goals or concerns may have varying and very different definitions of what's best for them, but they do assert, though, you should choose the beverage which best suits you. In sports, the Knicks limped their way to a 130-121 victory at home against the Pacers to go up 2-0 in their Eastern Conference semifinals matchup. That's the NBA. In the NHL, the Panthers evened their Eastern Conference semifinal series with the Bruins in dominating 6-1 fashion. The Canucks draw first blood in their Western Conference semifinals debut series against the Oilers. 5-4 was the final score. That's on the ice. And back to the NBA. Congratulations to Nikola Jokic for winning the NBA MVP for a 3rd time. We will talk more about that later in the broadcast. Turning our attention to weather across the U.S. In the Pacific Northwest, Seattle will see a sunny day, which is atypical for them, and a high of 73. In the Midwest, the Twin Cities will see a high of 68 and partly cloudy skies. It'll be rainy and 60 in Detroit, rainy and 61 in Chicago, and partly cloudy and 77 in St. Louis. On the East Coast, it will be partly cloudy and 60 in Boston, partly cloudy and 73 in New York City, rainy and 69 in the nation's capital. And in the South, it will be partly cloudy and 86 in Miami, thunderstorms and 79 in Atlanta, mostly sunny and 85 in Memphis, and partly cloudy and 92 in New Orleans. In the Southwest, It'll be 91 and partly cloudy in San Antonio, thunderstorms in 82 in Dallas, partly cloudy in 88 in H-Town. It will be cloudy in 53 in Denver, sunny in 88 in Phoenix, sunny in 80 in Las Vegas, and over on the West Coast, it will be sunny in 81 in San Francisco, and it will be partly cloudy and 77 in Los Angeles. And that's the weather for today. And now you have been started up. Later this hour, a legend having a bad moment caught on camera. And how should you give and receive recognition? But coming up next, how can you have a healthy relationship no matter the person? You're watching The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Welcome back to The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. It is so wonderful to be in your homes, on your computer screens, at work, wherever you are consuming this program and whenever you're consuming it. And let's check the shifters real fast. Cool McCain. He goes, woo! Yes, that will be a little later. So definitely check that out. I appreciate you, brother. And that is a guy who he's one half of the Monarchs of Wrestling. You can catch that one on, let's see, the Shady Sports Network YouTube channel and the Real Play Callers YouTube channel as well. Every Monday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. It is a wonderful show. Check out him and the Playmaker. Those two do it up right. Monarchs of Wrestling, Monday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. And that is, of course, one of my brothers in broadcasting as well. Now, we all crave to have a great relationship life, right? Now, we know within our guts that the stronger our relationships, the better our lives are. But what happens, though, when we must put all of our relationships under a microscope? That's a good question. In today's program Spotlight, we will walk through what a healthy relationship looks like and how it benefits you. Now, as human beings, the relationships we form with other people are vital to our mental and emotional well-being and even our survival. Uh, People have an inherent desire to be close to others and to connect and to build relationships with people. While while you have, say, for example, a man talking to a volleyball while stranded on an island, well, you know the reference of the movie, that really isn't considered healthy, but his compulsion for company, that is healthy. And that's simply because healthy relationships, whether it's romantic or platonic or familial or even work related, it can help make life better and it can help give you balance. And it really shouldn't just come down to only one relationship. It is really encouraged to have a network of support and to not have all that weight of your emotional health be so dependent upon one human being. A positive relationship can be shared between any two people who support or encourage each other practically as well as emotionally. Now, if you were to talk to most health professionals, they'll say the most important aspect of a healthy relationship is healthy communication. And there's many things that go into a healthy communication, like empathy. That goes a long way. When you're in a conversation with someone else, try to understand what the other person's enduring at that time as best you can so you can properly be there for them. And it whenever a friend may have something that is weighing on them or they may be having a bad day, like, oh man, cool. And I'm not going to go into why. He was having one of those types of tough days yesterday. And I was like, look, whatever you need, brother, I'm here for you. And then all throughout the day, I would try to pass a couple of things to make him laugh so his day actually will go by a little bit better. I did that because I stepped in his shoes. I tried to empathize with him. Now, I can't fully empathize with what he was going through. Again, I'm not going to go into what it was happening. But what I can do is show that I love my brother to the point where it's like, okay, well, if you're feeling like this, I got you. I got you. And you don't know how long that carries and how big that is, because I know people have done that for me, and I am indebted to them because of how they really cared for me in that particular moment, why they stood in the gap for me. Now, we also must listen without prejudice. Now, what does that mean? We just simply can't listen to respond. And I'm actually speaking to myself when I'm about to say what I'm about to say. We also can't listen with a predetermined feeling attached. We must be in the moment when the communication happens. And I am 100% guilty of that. Guilty of it. If I get angered, I do listen to respond. And I'm like, no. Don't just wait until the person's finished. Digest what they're saying so you can actually be in the conversation instead of being in your feelings. That's just truth. And that goes a long way to the to your partner, whether it's a friend or your romantic partner or a family member or a coworker even. Now, in no order whatsoever, people in healthy relationships, they do these things. They listen and communicate without judgment, as I said earlier. They trust and respect one another. They consistently make time for one another. They remember details about each other's lives. And now with cool, I gotta remember this date so I can understand, okay, yeah, I think I got something for him when this day comes, so that this day will go by better for him. Engage in healthy activities together. And it could be anything. It could be watching movies. It could be wrestling. It could be sports. It could be movies. It could be political discourse. Whatever is healthy that you all do and you share, do that. Work collaboratively as a team rather than two self-serving individuals. Discipline is important, of course, because then it'll be easy to actually be yourself while you are working collaboratively in a team setting. And be healthy on your own. instead of searching for health in the identity of another person, and avoid focusing on what they want to get from the other person. Instead, focus on how the relationship can be beneficial to you and to the other person. And again, you don't have to be romantically linked to the person. It could be familial, and it could be a friendship. It could even be a co-worker relationship. You will see benefits of healthy relationships all across the board. And here are five benefits, I should say, to a healthy relationship. The first one being you don't have as much stress. When you're in a committed relationship, that is linked to less production of cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Hence why a romantic relationship is supposed to be the best of them all, because it's supposed to be something that makes you the most yourself and the most relaxed. And it is evidence that couples who cohabitate together are happier than those who don't. Yeah, it's just the truth. The second is you get to heal better. And I love this for this particular reason. Whether it's having someone there to remind you to take your medicine, or having a partner there to help take your mind off of whatever the pain is that is in your body, research suggests long-term partners who have undergone heart surgery are 3 times more likely to survive the first 3 months after surgery than those who don't have a partner. And it's because of the reminders of, did you take your medicine, or doing something fun, or doing things to basically make you feel as though you're a part of life. And that aids in the healing of you, or it aids in the healing of your partner. Number 3 goes into healthier behaviors. And it sets the perfect tone, a healthy relationship does, for an overall healthy lifestyle. Like if your spouse or friends or other loved ones encourage exercising or a healthy diet, or to quit smoking, you normally are likely to follow in those footsteps. And it's a lot easier to take on those healthy behaviors when you surround yourself with people who are doing those behaviors. The fourth one is you get a greater sense of purpose. Now, many people strive to feel as though they are doing something good for someone else and improving the world in some way. When you're in a loving relationship, though, no matter what kind it is, that can give a person a sense of well-being, and actually a sense of mission. In fact, it's possible that having that sense of purpose, actually, it could add years to your life, which that's a good thing, right? And the final benefit to a healthy relationship, just mention it. Just said it can add years to your life, longer life. And research suggests that having social ties can increase longevity. Now, we know that this isn't one size fits all. Every human being's different. We understand that. However, when it comes to relationships, handling stress and living a meaningful life, that's rather similar, no matter who you are. If you're the type of person who enjoys being alone, that's fine. But attempting to form a few close relationships can contribute, though, noticeable benefits to your mental and physical acuity. Sometimes having at least one good friend, or a trusted coworker, or a therapist, or a counselor, or a life coach to help you walk through some of those sticky, nasty issues in life, like social anxiety or depression, it can help being more than worthwhile for you. Now, of course, it'll be difficult, but also might be exactly that medicine you need. Even just having one or even two strong, healthy relationships in your life, it can really do wonders for your health. And speaking of things or people one or two people that can do wonders for your health, there's two people that I can recommend you to that you will be able to see tonight. Yes, and those two people would be the ones you see on the screen. If you want to hear more on romantic relationship dynamics from a principled and balanced point of view, why don't you check out Latoya the Therapist and Eric Butler Sr. of Perspective? Get an up close and personal view and listen to these two tremendous human beings, as all they want is harmony and understanding with every single individual and every single conversation. Perspective, live tonight and every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. That's Perspective, live tonight and every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on the BS3 Network via Roku TV and the BS3 Network YouTube channel. Coming up next, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time has a viral moment for all the wrong reasons. This is the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back after this. This is a BS3 Network presentation. Adrian Shawan.
There was a man talking about where the homebodies at? Where the women at? And the women was stitching it and was like, we at home.
Scotty Knox.
Another pet peeve of mine, right? First date, if you show up with the ponytail that come out at the top of your head, it will not be a second date.
Butler.
I want people to think independently and freely. She's not. $100 for lunch. I almost got up and walked off.
A show that asks only one question. Is it Wednesday yet? Live every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central.
See everybody talking like they doing what we doing, but these brothers is red, they ain't moving like we moving, and everywhere we go.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Cup. And running back Kerryon Williams to a return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Jay Caraway.
You got some that can't seem to put the phone down. The signs on the freeway now. Put it down, it can wait, whatever. You know, like, that's crazy to me.
CJ Boyd.
You have some adults that ain't got no sense, bro. The moment they feel attacked, they gonna handle you accordingly.
Brothers talking about real life issues. BS3 Network proudly presents Elevate, live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. I'm glad you're with me and with us this morning. Back to the shifters real fast before we continue. And Cooley says, look, I appreciate that too, my brother. Look, man, I appreciate you, man. And I already know if the shoe was on the other foot, you do the exact same thing. And that's the quality of human being you are, my brother. You know I love you. You know I don't even have to say that to you, and you already know. Oh, man, I'm just having a wonderful morning. So this is, I guess, something a little personal here. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I grew up watching the National Wrestling Alliance, or NWA, and of course the World Wrestling Federation, which is now World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, the NWA has sort of shrunk and now has receded into the background, but it still forms a lot of the childhood memories that I currently enjoy when I think back on things. My favorite wrestler, and those who or been around me will know, no question, to answer this question. If it was asked, who's your favorite wrestler, Cole? It is none other than Ric Flair. When I saw the Nature Boy, and when I literally saw him for the first time, I just was hooked. I was like, man, I need to really get to know more about this guy. I love who he is. He talks this big game. He's absolutely entertaining. Yeah, even though he is a nefarious character, the dude is absolutely entertaining. And every time he's in the ring, I can't take my eyes off the screen. That was 40 years ago. Now you fast forward to now, and unfortunately, he's having a tough go of life. And seemingly things are not all that steady and copacetic with him. In today's cover story, we're going to touch on the viral moment that has put the Nature Boy Ric Flair in the crosshairs of social media, but actually in the consciousness of us all. Now, when I saw Ric Flair at his prime, I mean, he was 35, 36, 37. And of course, when you're in your mid 30s, you can do almost anything and you feel as though you're bulletproof because you just know you have life by the horns. You just know it. But when you have moments like, unfortunately, what happened last week, or I should say early this week, or no, last week, I'm sorry, with the Nature Boy at the age of 75, it gets a little hairy. It gets a little tricky, and it hurts when you see someone that you love struggle so much. And I'm not just talking about alcohol. And yeah, I can go into that with him because there was a documentary, I think it was Ric Flair, the Man, where he, on his own admission, and this is his words, not mine, said, quote, "Oh yeah, after matches, I would have probably about 9 or 10 beers a day without even thinking, without even blinking. And probably even more on Sunday because at times I would wrestle twice that day." Close quote. So when I heard him say that, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense with him. He seemed to want to hold on to those golden years. And I'm not talking about the Golden Girls golden years. I'm talking about the golden years of being in someone's prime, and I can give you many examples. Look at Madonna. She now will be knocking down the door to her 66th birthday when it comes in August. And you see her going into the makeup chair and getting a cosmetic facelift probably every year. Now probably even in a short amount of time, probably every 6 months now. And you see it and it's like, wow, why don't you just age gracefully? Don't want to look like you're 25 anymore. You're 65 now. It's that pull of not wanting to let go of what made you feel good in your youth. Because quite frankly, and I understand it now a little bit now that I have some maturity to me, I don't see myself at the age as I am. I actually see myself probably at times as 8, as times at 18, and as times at 30. And rarely do I see myself at my current age. Because not that I don't want to see myself at my current age, but you were able to do more things than you are now. And I could do a lot of things now at my age. Now, to catch you up to speed. So Flair was at a Gainesville restaurant and he was with his family. And why was he in Gainesville of all places? Well, his youngest stepdaughter was rehearsing for their commencement ceremony, which took place over the weekend. And so he, his wife, and their family all congregated, and they were all feeling pretty good. The nature boy, of course, was tossing them back one after another, as he always does. I mean, he famously tries to challenge people to drink. Famously. And I do mean famously. And I mean, there's other tales of drunken woe, such as him being in hotel parties. And yes, he would brag about this in promos, saying at the nearest Marriott, women 18 to 28, and this is him. I'm sorry. This is his quotes, not mine. Women 18 to 28, single, not married, and not in a relationship, come to the nearest Marriott, and we'll tear the place down. And you hear many wrestlers actually say he'd be in the hotel lobbies wearing a robe, and then he would disrobe, and the birthday suit was all you saw underneath. This was Ric Flair. So I'm sure he was a drunken fool then, and he's really doing what he knows. He's still a drunken fool now, unfortunately. So he was in town in Gainesville to celebrate a familial uh, event, a graduation of his stepdaughter. And so he had a little too much to drink, and the bar cut him off. Now, he didn't know that, I don't think. When he tells the story that he went to the bathroom and a staff member basically was bothering him while he was trying to urinate. And then it caused a big disturbance because it was something that Flair found off-putting. And then another staff member came and basically called him a pervert. And that's what set off Flair. Then they go from the bathroom to the bar. And then you hear Flair in an emotional tirade just chew out all of the staff members, save for one staff member and the manager. And why was that? Well, they cut him off and they told him that we're not trying to kick you out. And then, of course, Flair was causing such a big disturbance that they did force him out. And he challenged one of the managers there, tell him that going outside, and then one of the patrons did the same thing to Flair. Well, about a few seconds later, he goes to the manager of the establishment, says the following to him, quote, "Here's $1,000. I'm going to give you $1,000. You can tell him to kiss my behind." Close quote. And unfortunately, then that's when the video stopped, and probably that's when he left. So Flair took to X, and he said the following on the platform formerly known as Twitter. Man. He says, "I spent $1,500 at Paisanos SFP to be disrespected more than I ever have in my entire life. After taking 20 pictures with customers and staff, I was asked to leave because of an issue I had with the kitchen manager taking too long in the bathroom. I would highly recommend that anyone who wants to enjoy a relaxing time in Gainesville at a nice restaurant to never visit this place." Woo! What hurts my heart about this, I mean, literally what hurts my heart, is I think you have somebody who wants to go back to when he was 30, 35, 40, and now he's in the twilight of his life. And people don't see him that way. Obviously, he doesn't see himself at 75, but people don't see him as 35, and they look at him as an old man, and they look at him as a guy who probably has, bit off more he could chew and has lived past his prime. the part that really hurts is when you talk to someone who has lived that type of life, and they talk stories about their past and their youth. It hurts because they realize, wow, I can't really do the same things I could do physically. I can't recall things the way I used to mentally with a snap of my finger. I can't emotionally feel things because I'm emotionally feeling things that I really don't want to feel, like the loss of my mother, or the loss of my father, or the loss of my siblings, or the loss of my husband or wife. I feel this pall over me because life is now taking such a toll on me that it is hard to bear. And that's why I'm sure now Flair, who, when he was downing those beers, it was basically probably to numb some of the pain that was physical, because wrestling is a physical sport that takes its toll on the body. Now at 75, I think to numb emotional and mental anguish. And for him, the mental anguish is, man, I wish I could just put on the tights and go again. And yeah, he most recently attempted to do that, actually, in this very city in which I live, in Nashville, 2 summers ago. You know, at 73, where he wrestled next to his son-in-law in a tag team match. And it was billed Ric Flair's final match. And ever since then, and now that has been almost 2 years, he still is looking for another wrestling match. In fact, he has said as recently as last year that he would like to have one more go with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which to me is his greatest ever opponent in wrestling. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole there. Wanting to live the golden years of that person is a pain that no one can take when they are in the senior citizen stage. I mean, even now, and I'm not a senior citizen, I'm not even close to it yet. But there are times I'm thinking, dang, man, I wish I was 15 and I have the mind that I have now. I would probably tell that guy, man, snap out of it. Or 20 or 25 or 30 or even 35. But the lesson that I think people like Flair at that age not necessarily has to learn, but has to accept, is that things can be beautiful now. To think about things of yesteryear, some are great, but some are painful. But try to make those golden memories last now. And hopefully you can go forward. And with the Nature Boy, hopefully he can enjoy things, not trying to do things such as numb the loss of his son, which that is still what, 15, maybe 16 years and then some. Hopefully he could enjoy his daughter carrying on his legacy, being the wrestler in WWE that somewhat is similar to him, and in many ways it's not. And I'm not just talking about because it's a woman versus him being a man. I'm just talking about two different styles. Hopefully he can gain some satisfaction from the fact that he did something good, and he could see it in his daughter, Ashley. And he could also see it in his stepdaughter. And hopefully we won't have these types of situations in the future. But this is the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun that even at 75 still has a hard time holding his alligators down. And that completes today's cover story. And when we come back, how can you properly give and receive recognition? This is the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this.
Eric Butler, a.k.a.
The Intellect, a.k.a. Cullinan. I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land, a.k.a. the Atlantic. Cole deep and choppy.
Latoya the therapist, aka
Them kids' mama, aka Jeff's wife, aka Latoya the therapist. I am a licensed professional counselor.
Beauty and Brains, clinical and principled, insightful and intelligent. BS3 Network proudly presents Perspective live every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
Bruce Bernstein.
NBA people are the best people ever. Everything that I've ever wanted to do was always sort of pointed towards the NBA.
Daniel Jones, I don't listen, I wasn't sold on him in the beginning either.
Ben Sutter and Dan Quinn. Like, he may not be the greatest head coach, but one thing we do know is that he can coach defenses.
Mirren Fader.
If I did a biography on Hakeem Olajuwon, this is the first true international superstar.
Looking for the up-to-date information in the world of sports? The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Live every Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. Before we go to our next segment, back to the shifter, shall we? And my man Cool, and that's another reason why we're brothers. He shares the same affection and affinity for Flair as I do. He's this big Flair fan, and yeah, I saw that incident as well and the video. And yeah, I just immediately felt for him when I saw it. I was like, man, because I was thinking, man, he really wants to relive the golden days, and I totally understand that. I do, but it's still painful to watch. The owner, the manipulator, and the operator of the BS3 Network, although he's going from his original handle, the BS3 Sports, Benjamin Southeth, says, good morning. I hope everything is good with you in the Metroplex, sir, and a good morning to you. Now, yesterday, the NBA, the National Basketball Association, they decided to award the Kia Most Valuable Player. And I know you're probably saying in the segment that's about to come up, how does this relate? Watch this. I'm sorry. So there was 3 people that were up for the award: the Mavericks, Luka Doncic, the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, and the Thunder's Gilgeous-Alexander. And I think a lot of people were thinking that SGA, as he's known, was going to take the award because, well, Jokic has won it twice, but Jokic won it for a 3rd time last night, which upset a lot of people. It really doesn't upset me, but it upset a lot of people because they felt as though SGA was not being recognized properly. So what happens when you aren't? If you are Shai Alexander, and you do your best. You put up stat numbers of 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, and you feel as though you're not being recognized the way you're supposed to be, or the way you feel as though you should be. Well, here is lighting the way. You don't necessarily have to be a big time NBA player that, excuse me, is drawing 7 or even 8 figures a year. You don't have to be that. But I'll use this as a sample size. You still want to be recognized for the things that you do, for what you do, and for how you do it. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the now 4 members of Inside the NBA and a basketball Hall of Famer and a gold medalist and a 4-time NBA champion. He took umbrage to the fact that Jokic was getting the award. Now, for those who don't know, Shaquille O'Neal, 7'1", probably still now over 300 pounds, maybe 350 now. In his playing days, he was billed as 330. And when he has been on Inside the NBA, he's actually taken up for big men. He's like, centers are really what makes the league go around, which I do agree with that. But he sort of is a little biased because he was a center. In fact, he was one of the most dominant centers of all time. But even he could not say Jokic should be the one, because Jokic, he's 7 foot tall and he's a big boy, his doggone self. He felt as though SGA was cheated from the aforementioned stats that I mentioned. Hopefully, SGA is doing like what Paul is telling or told the people in Philippi. Hopefully, he has this energy within him, and he receives the following scripture that Paul actually said to the Philippians. Quote, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Close quote. Now, should we withhold blessings? Of course not. That's not even a question. I mean, if you feel as though someone should get the roses, give it to them. And look, Michael Jordan, there was many times he was up for the award and won it, and there was a few times he was up for the award and didn't win it. In fact, there's two famous times he didn't get it, once in 93 and once in 97, where even in the Last Dance documentary, he basically was like, okay, so you give the award to him? Okay. I'll see them in the finals and I'll show you who really is the MVP of this league. And he was on top both times. And the praise kept coming even bigger for him because he beat that year's MVP. Now, what should extending platitudes to another do for you? It should make you feel good, because we should be agents of good. I was looking on social media, and I actually might have to steal this for an idea. She said, instead of, and the thought was, quote, instead of playing devil's advocate, why don't you play faith advocate? Close quote. And so the SGA, I'm going to play a faith advocate to you. Brother, you're just young in this league. You going wreck shop. And heck, you might wreck shop this year and win the championship. So you do you, brother. You keep the Thunder in prominence, man. And you keep that team going the way it's going. That's how you feel when you extend platitude to somebody, because it feels good to give good to somebody else. Now, are we cheated if we're not recognized? Yes, to a degree, and no to another degree. Yes, to a degree, because you do work hard. You want to be recognized for the hard work that you put into things. Cannot say anything antithetical to that at all. But if it's not being recognized, are you really being cheated? Not necessarily, because you know where you have to go inward. Recognize it yourself. And when you can recognize it first, others will recognize it. You don't necessarily have to toot your own horn to do it. You can just simply be yourself, and it'll permeate like it's a wonderful fragrance that just emits from you. Positive attitude emits positive results. Remember that. Now, what should our countenance or what should our temperament be if others are getting recognized? Dap them up. You'll have your season. You just so happen to be witnessing someone else's. So when you witness someone else's season, give them an attaboy, give them an attagirl, give them it's your time. Cook, shine. And when you do that, favor reigns upon you. And it is a beautiful thing. And I'm sure SGA is probably going to do the same thing. He's probably going to say, congratulations to Nicola. And he's probably going to say, you know what, I want to have that award eventually. But you know what, this year, it just wasn't my year. I'm really focused on something bigger. And really, the MVP is a good achievement, but winning a championship is a bigger and a better one. So big up others who, when they are having their flowers being brought to them, you're one of the ones who's giving them the flowers instead of one of the ones who's naysaying them and saying they don't deserve the honor, because that's not good. What is good, though, is celebrating the beauty that is the recognition that they deserve, because eventually you get the recognition you deserve. And that'll do it for today's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you can catch every broadcast that comes from the morning shift. And by God, I really am enjoying this. For all of us here at the BS3 Network and the Morning Shift, I'm Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as I always do. If you like commitment, you will never start. If you like consistency, you will never finish. And if you lack love, you most certainly will never conquer. Until we meet again in 23 hours, have a wonderful day. So long, everybody.